Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Western adventure this hour. John Dehner stars as Paladin in an adventure of have-gun will travel from February 21st, 1960. And the old joke was even old back then. That was no lady.
You made a contract with me under false pretenses. Usually, when I get forced into a corner, I can shoot my way out. But this time, you've made that impossible.
Have gun. Will travel. Starring Mr. John Dehner as Paladin. San Francisco, 1875. The Carlton Hotel, headquarters of the man called Paladin.
Mr. Paladin, you like a coffee now?
Yes, Hey, boy. What are you doing waiting on table?
I come warn you.
Of what?
Man over there, he watch you all the time you eat. Maybe so he enemy. I think I better tell you.
What man?
Man over by... Oh, too bad. He coming over here now.
Huh. I've never seen him before.
Well, I be nearby. You need me.
Yes, I'll let you know, hey, boy.
Oh, are you Mr. Paladin?
That's right.
I've been watching you, Mr. Paladin. I've decided you'll do.
Well, thank you. What will I do?
Well, you're just the man for the job. You're capable enough from what I hear, and I dare say fearless.
Oh, you flatter me.
No, it's not flattery, Mr. Paladin. Facts, based upon keen observation. May I sit down?
By all means.
Thank you, sir. My name's Felber Fidd.
Felber? What can I do for you, Mr. Fidd?
Well, I've been sent here by the respectable element of Brackwater.
Brackwater?
It's a cow town south of the Tehachapies.
Oh, yes.
The respectable element has triumphed in Brackwater, Mr. Paladin.
Oh.
Triumphed, I tell you, but it was not an easy victory.
Well, virtue's victory never is.
Well, there remains, however, one pocket of resistance, one holdout, one sink of sin. And that's where you come in.
Where I come in?
Exactly. A.J. Bannion's the name.
Of whom?
The holdout. A.J. Bannion, proprietor of the Paradise Saloon, which I tell you is indeed a cesspool of corruption. This A.J. Bannion refuses to listen to the sweet voice of reason, so we are compelled to employ the force of your persuasion.
At my usual fee, Mr. Fidd?
Of course.
Well, that's a relief. So often I've found that the respectable element believes that virtue is its own reward.
Well, not in this case. We will pay.
Well, then, you have just engaged a Pied Piper who guarantees to remove the rats of Brackwater.
Wonderful. I thank you, Mr. Paladin. I thank you indeed. Oh, how the good folk of Brackwater will rejoice when they hear these splendid tidings.
Brackwater wasn't much of a town. A wide main street deep in dust, a few scraggly cottonwoods aridly protesting against being asked to grow where no tree had grown before, but it was home to the respectable element whose roots went deep, many of them being the first families who helped found this Mecca almost a decade ago. The other element came and went, came thirsty and went slaked, hungover, and otherwise depleted, thanks to the hospitality of the Paradise Saloon.
Hey, Tex, did you hear that? This stranger's looking for Mr. Bannion.
Well, tell him, Shorty, tell him.
Oh, I ain't got the heart.
I'm losing patience, gentlemen. Just a straight answer, please. Where can I find Mr. Bannion?
Well, Trying to tell you, stranger. You see those 4 people leaning on the bar over there?
Yeah?
There's 4 10-gallon hats, right?
Right.
4 gun belts, right?
Right.
Well, you look lower. Only 3 of them are wearing pants. The one wearing a skirt is a lady. You ask her about Mr. Bannion.
Yeah, thank you. I will. I beg your pardon, ma'am.
Yeah, what can I do for you, stranger?
Well, they said that you could tell me where to find Mr. Bannion.
Mr. Bannion? There ain't no Mr. Bannion. There never was.
A.J. Bannion?
A.J. Bannion. That's me, Alice Jane Bannion.
Oh.
Any comments, criticisms, or objections?
Oh, no, none at all.
Well, then what can I do for you?
Nothing, ma'am. Nothing at all. I guess I got the wrong party. I'm sorry to have troubled you.
No trouble at all. Drop in anytime you're thirsty. We got the best drinking whiskey in town. Matter of fact, it's the only drinking whiskey in town.
Mr. Fidd.
Mr. Paladin.
Mr. Fidd, I must ask you to release me from my contract.
Release? Oh, my, no, that'd be quite impossible, I'm afraid. A contract's a contract.
Of course it is, but it can be dissolved by mutual consent of the contracting party.
Yeah, that's true, only I don't consent.
Now, look here, Mr. Fidd. You made that contract under false pretenses.
Mr. Paladin, that's a very serious accusation.
Nevertheless true. You engaged me to rid this town of a man named Bannion.
Oh, no. I never said anything about a man named Bannion. I engaged you to get rid of A.J. Bannion.
But you didn't tell me the A.J. stood for Alice Jane.
Well, now, that's true, in a way, Mr. Paladin, but I didn't say A.J. stood for Albert James or Arthur John either. Now, did I?
No, but you led me to believe...
No, I did not, Mr. Paladin. The subject just never came up.
But I can't get rough with a woman.
Well, you can with this one, and she'll get rough right back to you. Rougher. She is the roughest woman you'd ever want to meet. You don't suppose if she wasn't that we'd be wasting the town's good money hiring an expert like you? No, sir. We'd have thrown her out ourselves. We tried, but she wouldn't cooperate.
Mr. Fidd, you place me in a most difficult position.
But I reckon you've been in worse ones before.
But I could shoot my way out of them.
Well, you might have to shoot your way out of this one before you're through.
February 21st, 1960, Have Gun Will Travel on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater, the conclusion of Have Gun Will Travel, February 21st, 1960.
Well, good evening, stranger.
Evening.
Right friendly of you to visit us again. What can I do for you?
Whiskey, please.
You look like you're carrying the troubles of the world on your shoulders.
I am.
Then have a drink on me.
Thank you, Miss Bannion.
Miss. Nobody called me Miss. I'm A.J. to my friends and to my enemies, and folks are either one or the other.
I'm sorry. A.J., I'd like to be your friend.
No reason why we can't.
I'd like to talk to you.
Go ahead, talk.
Well, couldn't we go over to that table where it's more quiet?
Sure. Why not?
Hey, AJ.
Yeah, Tex.
Ain't it a fact that Ulysses S. Grant is the worst president the United States ever had?
I wouldn't know, Tex.
I've been trying to tell this mule-headed shorty here.
Well, now, who's mule-headed?
Now, simmer down, boys. You know the house rules.
Well,
obey them. You'll live longer.
Well, all right, man. Mule-headed. You, sir?
This table to your liking?
Yes, it's fine.
Well, then sit down.
Thank you. Now, you have house rules,
Oh, in a way. 3 subjects is taboo in this saloon. Politics, religion, and women. Too many good men have died defending one or the other.
Yet where would the world be without them?
Better off.
But you're a woman.
Well, I never felt much like one.
That's a pity.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather be the way I am than be yoked up to one of these hairy-eared Ranahans.
These aren't the only men in the world.
Only ones I ever seen. I was born among them, raised among them.
You better get ready to draw, Johnny Ramp.
I'm ready anytime.
Just a minute. Excuse me, stranger. Tex!
What?
Shorty! I warned you!
You shot my hat off.
Mine, too.
Next time I'll shoot your head off. I told you to simmer down. I don't mind if you kill each other, but do it outside. Won't have none of you giving this place a bad name. Now, where were we, stranger?
We were talking about you.
What were we saying?
Well, I believe that I had observed that it was a pity that a lady of your obvious charm and talent should be born to blush unseen and waste her fragrance on this desert air.
Stranger, you talk plumb poetic.
It is time, Miss Bannion, that you thought of yourself as a woman. A woman still young, still attractive. A woman for whom some man somewhere awaits.
Where?
Who knows? Certainly not here. The world, my dear Miss Bannion, is yours for the taking.
Why?
So why don't you abandon this provincial backwater? Come into the wide, wonderful world of gallant men and lovely ladies of whom, believe me, Miss Bannion, you have no peer.
Well, you make that sound mighty tempting.
Then you will leave Brackwater?
Well, I might permit myself to be persuaded.
Then by all means, permit me to persuade you. Look at these hairy-eared tin horns and ask yourself why you spend another day in this jerkwater town.
Why, say you are right. You've convinced me that I was born for better things than this.
Good. How soon can you leave?
Just as soon as you're ready.
Me?
Yes, sir, just a minute, dearie. Listen, boys! I got an announcement to make. First off, tonight the drinks are on the house. Wait a minute! The drinks are on the house because I am closing down the Paradise Saloon. The pantywaist crowd in this town has been wanting to get rid of me for some time now. You all know that. What they wasn't able to do, this stranger has done. He has opened my eyes and he's gonna take me out of all this.
Oh, now, wait a minute. I didn't say
So
that...
tonight's the last night, boys. Drink hearty!
Oh, but now, Miss Bannion, please. Oh, well. Have it your way for now, A.J.
Well, looky here, Felberfid. Why, you little Dickens. Thought I'd never see the day you'd walk into the Paradise Saloon.
I came over as soon as I heard the news, A.J.
Yes, sir, I decided to see it your way, thanks to this sweet-talking stranger.
But good. But it just happens I have the papers right here with me. You want to sign them now?
You making the same offer?
The same offer.
All righty.
There you are.
She's yours, Felbert.
And I'll have the money for you the first thing in the morning, as soon as I open my safe.
Oh, I trust you, honey.
She'll make a fine meeting house.
Well, you got this stranger here to thank for bringing me to my senses.
I know that.
Yes, sirree, he convinced me that I was wasting my time
My
here.
keen judgment assured me he was the right man to hire.
Hire? What? What do you mean, hire?
Have you got any idea who the stranger is, AJ?
No, it all happened so fast, didn't get around to asking him his name.
Well, ask him now.
What's your name, stranger?
Paladin.
Paladin. A hired gunslinger from San Francisco?
At your service, Miss Bannion.
Not at my service. Felber, who paid him to come down here and make a fool out of me.
I meant every word I said, Miss Bannion.
Don't call me miss. You just stand up. Be ready to draw. Nobody makes a fool out of A.J. Bannion. Stand up! Go ahead, Paladin. Go for your gun any time.
Although you seem to doubt it, Miss Bannion, I have principles, among which is consideration for and admiration of the weaker sex.
Weaker sex, draw!
I have never drawn on a woman, and I shall not begin now.
Draw!
You won't draw unless I go for my gun, and, as you see, my hands are in the air.
Which makes it convenient for me to relieve you of your gun. You may live to regret that you didn't let me kill you in a fair fight. Because I'm gonna make you prove all those sweet words you told me. Why, you're a-gonna wine me and dine me, Mr. Paladin. You're a-going to romance me. You're going to show me the world. At gunpoint if necessary. Felber?
Yes, AJ?
You still deputy in this town?
Yes, AJ?
Want to do me a favor?
Sure, AJ.
Lock this critter up in the jailhouse until I come for him in the morning, will you?
Sure, AJ. I'll be glad to. Come along, you.
Felber Fid played his part to the hilt. Poking his gun in my ribs, he pushed me out of the saloon ahead of him and marched me down the main street for all the town to see. Then we turned a corner in the direction of which I assumed was the jail. But once out of sight of the townsfolk, he pushed me into a door across which was the sign, Fid Land and Development Company. Inside the office, he locked and bolted the door.
Now, this time you've gone too far, Paladin.
Look here, Mr. Fid. Just pay me my money. I'll be on my way.
With AJ?
Not if I can help it.
But she said...
I can't help what she said. You wanted me to close her saloon, and I did.
But I said nothing about taking her away from Brackwater.
Oh, that's her idea.
You've bewitched her. You've stolen her from me.
From you?
Yes, Paladin. And you may as well know. I've admired Miss Bannion from afar for a long, long time. I've always felt if she could be deterred from her evil ways, she would make a man like me a fine wife.
Oh, Mr. Fid.
The fee I offered you was not put up by the respectable element of Brackwater, but by myself. And I must say in all frankness, I don't feel compelled to pay you for this ultimate breach of contract.
Look, Mr. Fid, I don't want the lady, just the money.
Oh, yes, but it appears you have her. She is leaving with you.
Not if I can help it. Look, if you want her, take her.
You didn't mean what you said to her?
Well, yes, I meant every word of it, but I didn't mean that I was the man to make her dreams come true.
Well, Mr. Paladin, you know, I think I am.
Good. Now, you just hold that thought. And in the meantime, just give me back my gun and let me get out of here.
Yes, I'm inclined to do that, Mr. Paladin. Only there's one thing I want to verify before I let you go.
What's that?
Having watched your technique with AJ, I've come to the conclusion that one can't fail if one simply treats her as a lady.
Ah, Mr. Fid, that's not only true with Alice Jane Bannion. It's true of every woman who ever lived. Come in.
Oh, good morning, Mr. Paladin.
Good morning, Miss Wong.
Good morning. I bring morning paper and mail. You got special fat letter from place called Blackwater.
Oh, yes, I've been wondering when it would come.
Lots of green money.
Yeah. And I earned every penny of it, Miss Wong.
Looky, something else in envelope.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see.
Miss Alice Jane Bannion and Mr. Felber Fid request your presence at their nuptials, Friday the 13th at 3 o'clock at the First Brackwater Church, formerly the Paradise Saloon.
Oh, you gonna make you present at nuptials?
No, Miss Wong, no, I think not. I make it a policy never to get mixed up in marriages.
Have Gun Will Travel. Created by Herb Meadow and Sam Rolfe, is produced and directed in Hollywood by Frank Paris and stars John Dehner as Paladin, with Ben Wright as Hey Boy and Virginia Gregg as Miss Wong. Tonight's story was specially written for Have Gun Will Travel by William N. Robeson. Featured in the cast were Howard McNear, Harry Bartell, Vic Perrin, and Jeanette Nolan. Our sincere congratulations and good wishes go to the staff and management of radio station WAAX in Gadsden, Alabama, which has joined the ever-growing list of CBS radio affiliates. Welcome again, WAAX. This is Hugh Douglas, inviting you to join us again next week when CBS Radio presents Have Gun Will Travel.
John Dehner, Have Gun Will Travel, the radio version of the television program. February 21st, 1960, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now, we're going to stay with February 21st, 1960 in our second half hour with an episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense, and it's an episode entitled Crank Letter, where a doctor is being threatened by a strange person. That's coming up on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, but first, these important messages from your favorite radio station. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense, February 21st, 1960, Crank Letter.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Have you ever received a letter threatening your life? And if you did, what did you do about it? Well, let's find out what Dr. Fraser did as we listen to Crank Letter, written for Suspense by Walter Black.
Dr. Fraser speaking.
Hi, Doc. Paul Neiman over at Homicide.
Oh, you believe in telepathy, Lieutenant?
Beg pardon?
Well, I was just about to pick up the phone to call you.
Oh. Well, I guess the department must have notified you, huh?
Notified me about what?
My yearly physical checkup. Is that what you meant?
No. You see, I got a letter, and I wanted to talk to you about it. Could I drop in later today?
Well, sure, if you want. But can it wait until I come by for my checkup? Save you a trip.
Well, I guess it can wait. Let me see. Can you come in at 4 today?
Yes, I can. I'll see you then, Doc.
Yeah, Lieutenant.
Yes?
Now the outer door will be locked. So just call out and I'll let you in. You can put your shirt back on now, Lieutenant.
Okay. Well, what's the verdict?
Oh, you're sound as a pre-war dollar. Although if I were you, I'd take off a couple of pounds around the middle.
Well, I keep telling myself I will, but when it comes to my wife's cooking, I got all the willpower of a jellyfish. All right, Doc. Now it's your turn. You mentioned the letter.
Yes, here. Read it.
You quacks are all alike, murderers. Honest people aren't safe from butchers like you. If the law won't punish you, I will, the avenger. Well, she went to a lot of trouble, didn't she? Cut out all the letters from a magazine.
She?
Well, reads like a woman. Could be a man, of course. I suppose you've handled this, haven't you?
Well, you mean fingerprints?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, I guess so. I didn't know what it was, of course.
Well, it doesn't matter, Doc. She probably wore gloves. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
You wouldn't worry about it. No, it's not addressed to you.
Now, take it easy. I only meant... Well, we get hundreds of poison pen stuff like this every year. 99% of them turn out to be crank letters.
And the other 1%, Lieutenant, what do they turn out to be?
You know of anyone who might have a grudge against you, Doctor?
No.
There's no reason at all for anyone to hate you, is that right?
Well, there's no rational reason, no.
I said no reason at all.
Well, it isn't really a reason.
Let me be the judge, huh?
All right, it happened last week. I was performing an operation on an elderly patient in his 70s. Now, his heart failed on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything possible was done for him, but it wasn't any use. He died. Anyway, it's been on my mind. I feel terrible about it.
Guilty?
No. Why should I feel guilty? It happens sometimes, no reason.
Just asking, Doctor. The man who died, what was his name?
Gilbert. Joseph Gilbert.
Any relatives?
He lived with a son.
Name?
Well, I don't... Oh, wait a minute. I probably have it on his record. Yeah, here it is. Frederick Gilbert, 210 South Oak Lane.
Uh-huh. You ever meet him?
Yes, once.
What's he like?
Well, he's big and burly.
He what?
Well, it was after his father died. He threatened to hit me. He had to be restrained by some hospital attendants.
Mm-hmm.
You think he wrote this letter?
Nope. I think it's just what I said it was, the crank letter. Beating you up sounds more like his type. I'm pretty sure it'll turn out to be just another crank. Yeah? Excuse me, Lieutenant, but there's a Dr. Donald Fraser outside, says he has to see you. Says it's important. Okay, send him in, Evans. Yes, sir. You can go on in.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm sorry to bother you, Lieutenant, but...
It's no bother at all, Doc. What's on your mind?
This. Came in the morning mail. Well, go on, read it.
All right. Why don't you sit down and relax?
Yeah, relax. I'm too nervous, if you must know.
Well, suit yourself. You killed him. You and I know it, even if nobody else does. Your turn is next.
Well, is that all you can say?
A cheap grade of paper and no signature. You killed him. Do you think this refers to that patient of yours?
What else can I think? Look, I'm not normally a very excitable person, Lieutenant, but this has got me
scared.
Yes, scared. Can you understand that, or don't policemen ever get scared?
Sure we do, often. Send Evans in.
Oh, and what am I supposed to do now? Walk out of here and go about my business? Is that it? I'm scared, Neiman. I'm scared sick. Now, does that penetrate? I want protection, and don't give me any more of this crank letter routine either. This thing is genuine. I can feel it.
I think you're right, Don. Look, why don't you sit down?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to blow up at you.
It's all right. Forget it. Let's come on in, Evans. This is Dr. Fraser. Don, this is Detective Evans.
Oh, hi. How do you do?
Evans, you're off desk duty as of now. Until further notice, you're assigned to the doctor. You'll pick him up every morning when he leaves his apartment. You'll go out on calls with him, accompany him to the hospital. The works, you got it?
Yes, sir.
And every night you take him back home and wait until he locks his door.
Yes, sir.
What am I supposed to be looking for, Lieutenant? Your guess is as good as mine. Just make sure the doctor stays healthy.
Yes, sir. You are taking this seriously, aren't you, Paul?
I am, Donald. Real serious.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
February 21st, 1960, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Suspense, February 21st, 1960, Crank Letter.
We was at the hospital from 2:35 to 7:15. Then we went to eat, went to a movie. Not a bad one either, Lieutenant. The one at the Palace. You seen it? Never mind that. No, sir. We got back to the apartment at 11:08. I checked it out like always. He locked the door behind me. I picked him up again at 8:10 this morning, and I'd just come from his office. Office door locked? Oh, yes, sir. I make sure of that. He says some of his patients complain about it, but he locked it. Nothing out of the way? No, sir. Lieutenant Neiman.
Don Fraser, Paul. I got another one.
Another letter? Read it.
You haven't got much more time, murderer. You know how to kill. How well will you die? You've got to do something, Paul.
Now, take it easy. We're doing our best, Doc. This just came in the mail?
No, I found it on my desk when I got to the office.
What? I'll be there in 5 minutes, Doc. Come on, Evans, let's go. All right, Doctor, now let's see what we've got. Your outer door wasn't tampered with. Neither were the windows or the catches. The building superintendent has been in. The cleaning woman was out sick, so she wasn't even here last night. Now, you're absolutely certain the door was locked when you left last night and locked when you got here this morning. I was with him, Lieutenant. It was locked, all right. Uh-huh. And yet there was the letter right on your desk. How did it get there?
Well, Paul, I should have mentioned this before, but I didn't think it was important.
What?
I lost my key ring last month.
You what?
Now, it was only missing 2 days, and then somebody returned it through the mail. It had my name on it.
Now, ain't that just Jim Peachy Dandy?
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't think it meant anything.
Evans, call the station. I want that man Gilbert brought in. Let's find out about Gilbert once and for all.
You have to keep that light shining in my eyes.
We don't have to, but we're going to. We like to see who we're talking to, even when they're as ugly as you.
I'd like to get you out from behind that badge, bust, and hear you say that.
Any time at all. All right, Gilbert. Let's go back over that story of yours. You gave my man the slip after he tailed you home last night. Where'd you go?
I told you.
Tell them again.
I went bowling.
You always leave by the back door when you go
What, do
bowling?
you think I'm a kid or something? I knew you had a tail on me. Am I supposed to write him a letter if I feel like going out?
Why not? You've been writing Dr. Fraser letters.
I ain't writing nobody nothing. How many times I have to tell you?
Turn off the light.
What?
You heard me. And get that clock out of here. It's making me jumpy.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty rough about your dad, Gilbert. Dying on the operating table like that. Of course, who's to say whose fault it was? Accidents will happen.
Listen, my old man had the constitution of an ox. There was no accident that killed him.
You think Fraser did it on purpose?
If I thought that, Fraser'd be as... you really want to know what I think?
Yeah, I do.
My old man was a clinic patient. No dough. Slap him on the table, cut him open. If he lives, okay. If he dies, too bad.
Uh-huh. Well, like I said, I don't blame you for wanting to get back at Fraser.
Now, who
I
said...
do. You're our boy, Gilbert. You got the motive and you got the opportunity. We got witnesses who heard you swear to get even with Fraser.
Listen, a guy says lots of things. That don't mean anything.
Tell it to the jury, Gilbert. You only got one chance unless the cop a plea.
I never wrote no letters.
Where have you hid the duplicate keys? You'll find them sooner or later anyway. Lieutenant Neiman.
This is my last warning, Lieutenant. Fraser hasn't got much time left.
Who's this?
You're his friend. Tell him to make his peace with God, if he can.
Wait a minute. Comedy. Put a trace on this call. If you've got anything against Dr. Fraser, why don't you come on in? We'll talk it over.
Give him my message, Lieutenant.
Hello? Hello?
I just don't get it. I was so sure Gilbert was the one.
You're in good company, Doc. We thought so, too. I didn't. I never did. He was just the only pigeon in sight. Doc, tell me, this town you were born in, where you grew up, what's the name of it?
Haydenville.
Maybe the answer's back there.
But I left after high school. I never went back. I told you that.
Yeah, I know. What about your family?
Well, my father's dead. My mother lives with my aunt out in California.
Nobody else? Brothers, sisters, cousins?
Nobody else.
How come you never went back there?
I had no reason to. I'd made new friends in college and later in med school. There weren't any close ties at home.
All right, Don. How about college, medical school?
No. Nothing there either. Not that I was the most popular guy or anything like it, but I've never gone around making enemies.
Well, I wouldn't call our letter writer a bosom pal, exactly.
Hey, Lieutenant, maybe it's a patient. Maybe one of them's kind of cracked. None of my patients has any reason to wish me harm.
Old man Gilbert conked out on the operating table. Was there anybody else?
I'm not in the habit of either killing or wounding my patients, Evans. Now, you can check my records if you like.
Okay, Doc, just ask. Let's go, Evans. I'll pick you up at the usual time, Doc.
If I'm still around.
Okay, Doc, it's me. Up and at 'em. Hey, Doc, it's me, Evans. Let's get going. I like some breakfast. Doc? It smells like... Hey, Doc! It's not locked. That's gas. Hey, Doc!
How is he, Lieutenant?
Doctor says he'll live.
Oh, thank heavens for that.
You know something? Fraser must have opened that door himself. Even with duplicate keys, nobody could open it from outside after he shot the boat.
So?
Well, so in a case as crazy as this, it's nice to have one solid fact to sink your teeth into.
Crazy is right. No sign of a struggle, not a mark on him. Yet there he is, stretched out on the couch and every burner on the stove going full blast.
Lieutenant, I just thought of something. Whoever the guy is, he's someone Fraser knows. You don't open the door in the middle of the night to a stranger. No kidding.
Well, it's something. It's nothing. Like everything else we got. Go on back to the station, Evans.
But what about you?
I'm going to see Fraser as soon as he'll let me. Dr. Fraser. Don. hear me? You're going to be all right.
He was lucky this time. He won't be again.
What?
I should have turned the gas on earlier.
Doc, that voice, what are you trying?
Next time I'll use a gun.
That's the...
It was you on the phone, wasn't it, Doc?
It was me, Lieutenant.
What's going on?
It's very simple. I called you. I wrote the letters. I tried to kill him. And I'll try again, only the next time...
All right. It was you. Who are you?
Donald Fraser.
But, Doc... Okay. You're Donald Fraser. Where do you live?
92 Main Street. Haydenville.
Haydenville. Where do you work?
Mulholland's Meat Market. After school and all day Saturday.
School? What grade are you in?
I'm a junior in high school. Why?
Just routine, Donald. You have plans to go to college?
Sure. I'm going to be a doctor.
You mind me asking why you're out to kill him?
He's responsible for Jamie's death, so he has to pay for it.
Jamie?
My brother. He was 2 years younger than me.
How did he die?
He drowned. I don't want to talk about it.
I have to know, Donald. How did he die?
He got cramps. He yelled. He could have been saved, only he was too busy swimming to pay any attention. By the time he looked around, it was too late.
And you blame him for that?
Yes. He's got to pay.
Suppose it had been the other way around. Would you blame Jamie? You know how it is when you're swimming. You're having fun. It's easy to forget about the guys with you.
He shouldn't have forgotten.
No, but he didn't forget deliberately, did he?
No.
Will killing him bring Jamie back?
What are you asking me so many questions for?
Will it accomplish anything at all, Donald?
Maybe it'll give me some peace.
Is that what you want most?
Yes.
Killing him will only make you feel worse. You'll be a murderer then. Is that what you want?
No.
You want to be a doctor. That means saving lives, Donald, not taking them. Start with him. Give him back his life. That's the only way for you to find peace.
You believe that?
The Bible says, judge not, lest ye be judged. I don't think a guy like you could go through life with a secret like that on his conscience.
I just want some peace.
Then try it my way, Don. Forgive him. He's suffered more than you'll ever know.
How do you know?
I'm his friend. He's a very decent guy. I wish you could know him as I do.
And what about Jamie?
If he could, I think he'd say the same thing. He doesn't blame him. It was an accident. Try it my way, Don. Will you? Donald?
I'll try.
Good boy. Doc, can you hear me?
No. Who is it?
Me, Paul Neiman. How do you feel?
No. Well, as Evans would say, Jim Peachy Dandy. What happened?
You had an accident. It's over and done with. You're going to be okay.
It's funny, Paul, but I feel, I don't know quite how to put it, like a big burden's off my back. It's crazy, isn't it?
No, not at all.
Sure it is. Whatever happened to me, I know it was no accident. That letter writer will try again.
No, he won't, Doc. Because you see, we found him. From now on, I don't think you'll have any more trouble.
Suspense. You've been listening to Crank Letter, written for Suspense by Walter Black. tonight's story were Lyle Sudrow as Dr. Donald Fraser, Les Damon as Lieutenant Neiman, Bill Meader as the young Donald Fraser, and Barry Haynes as Fred Gilbert. Listen again next week when we return with Lieutenant Langer's Last Collection by George Bamber, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
February 21st, 1960, Suspense on Classic Radio Theater. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me. Classicradio.stream. We have our social media links up there as well. Don't forget that our shows are available all over the internet on demand. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, even Amazon Music and Audible. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.